Hi everyone, my name is BK Lawat from the Out of Box podcast. Today we have with us another very special guest, Vihangi Joshipura. Vihangi is a personal and employer branding strategist and a LinkedIn creator with over 13,000 followers. A fun fact about Vihangi is that she's fluent in more than 5 languages. Vihangi, thank you so much for being here.
Hello, so glad to be here.
So Vihangi, like you said that you are proficient in like more than 5 languages. Which languages are they? Can you like name them?
Then obviously the first two are normal English, Hindi.
Okay.
I'm also really good at Kannada, especially reading because I spent
Right.
my time in Bangalore.
Okay.
Uh, Gujarati, that's my native language,
Yes.
and Japanese because I used to teach it for like 2ish years.
Oh, all right. Excellent. Can you like say like, maybe like a sentence in Japanese like for the audience?
Wata Shiva Vihangi desu.
That means
My name is Vihangi.
all right. Cool. So then we can start, Vihangi. So my first question to you is, what space are you in currently, and what motivated you to be here?
Sure. So I would say I'm in the personal branding space currently. And like what this entails is that you brand your product or your service or whatever it is that you sell through you instead of directly selling it to people. Because like I and my team very strongly believe that you every time you sell something, you're like your audience never connects with the product or the service. They
Yes.
connect with you and they essentially end up buying because of you,
Yep.
right? Like it's the
Yep.
same idea with like how you wait for that one stylist who makes your hair for a good 3-4 months,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That is
All right.
personal branding.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah, what motivated me to get into the space? So I got into LinkedIn writing in general because of lead generation. Like I started my social media agency. Like
Yeah.
I love social media marketing, everything. So I
Yes.
started my social media agency. I needed leads from somewhere. And I'd been following this one creator on Instagram since very long. And like since I was in college. And I always heard from her like, yeah, she generates inbound leads through LinkedIn. I was like, you know what? Let's take a crack at this. What is this about?
Yeah.
And I bought her course. It was like a good 14-hour course, which I completed in a single day.
All right.
And like I thought it will teach me some math skills that will help me, you know, blow up on LinkedIn. But
Yeah.
it didn't. All it taught me was how to make content pillars for my profile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which, to be fair, for then was very helpful for me because I was not a writing person.
Yeah.
Like I've always been someone who's into digital art, who's been into communicating through graphics or written form of content.
All
Right?
right.
Like while I've never been bad at it, but it's never been an area would have called my expertise back then. Like even when we started a social media agency, every
Yeah.
time something related to blog, something related to caption writing came, I'd be the first one to delegate that.
Yeah. All right. All right. Excellent.
But yeah, like I feel like what that particular course did for me is it gave me a system that I can use to start writing. It gave me an easy way to start. Like it gave me a starting point.
Yes.
And yeah, like from there I started trying to generate leads, and then the I realized like I found particular things that I like to write about. I found things that people like to read about from me. Um, I started getting on a lot of networking calls with people to like figure out what the hell it is that I'm doing wrong here. Like why
Yeah.
am I not generating leads?
Yes.
And yeah, like I spoke to a lot of personal branding strategists, Abhi, and I understood like what I'm doing wrong. I kept understanding. Honestly, I've only understood through my journey, through the inputs that I've received,
Yes.
like how to do what I do.
Yes.
And yeah, like I feel like now finally I'm in a place where I have a fixed strategy that I can actually replicate for somebody else.
All right.
And what motivated me to get in it was lead generation. But at the moment, I really enjoy having a voice. I
Yeah.
like being somebody who has a space or a platform where I
Yeah.
can voice out my opinion and people actually do want to hear it. So yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. All right. Excellent. So like Vihangi, like you had mentioned that you did a lot of internships while you were in college. So, tell me, what was the motivation that you were to go? Because like usually when people come to college, they think that it's all about the culture, is all about like having fun and being with peers. So, like, what motivated you to do like multiple internships during your time in college?
So I think one of the biggest factors was COVID. Like it was one of the biggest undeniable factors. Like all the
Yeah.
clubs suddenly stopped, and like the clubs that were functioning were like there was no more fun factor in them anyway. So I was suddenly out of the clubs, and like my whole day was suddenly empty.
Yeah.
Because like I was in NMMS, and the thing about NMMS is once you get in your second year, your
Yeah.
classes that used to end at 5 p.m. start ending at 12 p.m.
Yeah.
Now you have nothing to do in life. Like most people become heads of societies, clubs, everything
Yeah.
to get through with their day
It
to
keeps them engaged.
exactly right.
Yes.
Now all of this stopped. Now,
Yes.
so I had no other thing to do also, and
Mhm.
I think just the shutting down of COVID and like the excess resources that were suddenly made available
Yeah.
also made me do a lot of courses, and I got a lot of certifications as everybody was.
Yes.
But yeah, because of that, like I got my first internship offer like through LinkedIn itself. Like,
Oh.
tell all I used to do is go and just like post my certificate. Like, how
Yeah.
many? Yeah, I am here to tell you
Okay.
how I'm 1 degree smarter now.
All right.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So, like, how were you like securing these internships, and like, in what niche were you exactly starting out in?
Got it. So my first internship, I like a CEO of a startup contacted me through LinkedIn, like Samne se only, right?
Okay.
But after that, I used to apply a lot on LinkedIn. Like, there's a whole job section, and you can just go and apply as much as you want.
Yes.
And I feel like my ratio of conversion, so to say, wasn't very bad because,
Yeah.
like, I found internships that I would really excel at, and like, I do have some kind of background to fit into.
Yes. Yes.
So that was a key part of it. Other than that, I also used to find out through Internshala, and yeah, and other than this, I also started ISEC during my second year.
All
Now,
right.
yeah, like ISEC was also a big, like, humongous part of my journey.
Yes.
It gave me a lot of professional exposure. Like, there's only so many people in the world, in fact, that get a platform to speak in front of 100 people
Yeah.
at the age of 18 or 19.
Yes. Absolutely.
Right. So that gave me a lot of confidence to start approaching companies.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, like, did any of these internships ever land you like a permanent job role? Because I think people usually expect that at the end of an internship, right?
No, true. I did get one, but like by that point, like the thing is, I my degree was in finance, right? So now naturally my internships are also in finance,
Okay. Okay.
except like I think two, yeah.
Yeah.
So like most of my internships that like paid me well and like were like a proper 8 hour job and not like a flexible startup thing were in
Yes.
finance.
Yes.
And now by the end of my college, when I like the placement time comes around,
Yes.
I had already decided that I want to pursue marketing only. So
Yes.
like didn't
Okay.
really.
Okay.
But yeah, one did convert and to a pretty great opportunity.
All right. Excellent. And like, how does one make the most out of an internship experience? Do you think that there's some like experience that you would like to share in educated audience on how to make the most out of the internship experience?
Yeah. So I feel like most people go wrong dealing with internships or like trying to get them out of the way
Yeah.
by just trying to like waiting out for the certificate to get to them.
Yeah.
Me trying to focus too much on the technical skills of it.
Yes.
Now, there's a core truth when you go to any internship, they are not
Yeah.
going to give you the work that will actually help your growth a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like when I was doing these internships, most of the work I used to get was like related to making reports or something.
Yeah.
Right? Now, this was not going to help me like grow as a person or in my career, and I knew that. So I feel like the most you can make out of these internships is by instead adapting more soft skills by observing your direct or indirect leaders on how they deal with, let's say, their clients or how they manage us like as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that is something you can learn much more through internships rather than hard skills.
Excellent, excellent. So Vihangi, tell us about your first business experience. You've successfully been a part of 2 businesses, and I want to know about your first. What was your first business experience like? How did you get the idea, and how did you execute it?
When I was in 11th or 12th, I started learning Japanese. Okay. So
Okay.
now by the time I reached my second year, it had already been like 3, 4 years since I'd been learning. And I'd gotten pretty great at it, right?
Yeah.
And so the standard route for anybody who's learning a new language is like you learn the language till a particular point, you give all your exams, and then you make a side income through teaching it. Now,
Correct.
the thing about at least in the Indian market is you get paid very less if you go to any of these institutes. Like
Okay.
they get a shit ton of money from the students.
Yeah.
They pay they don't even pay half of one student ka fees to the trainer.
Okay.
Like the trainer handles like around 5 to 10 students per batch.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and my like a very close friend of mine was already teaching Chinese with one of these institutes. Okay.
Okay.
We were talking about this, and I was like, yeah, how do I start? And she's like, this is like they pay this much, they pay this much. And what had happened to her is, after she finished one level with one of the students, the
Yeah.
student approached her directly and was telling her like, I'm unable to pay this much amount, and if she could take her alag se.
Okay.
And she did, and like anyways, like she ended up making more from that one student, and even after like cutting half the cost or whatever.
Yes.
So that was like the origination of the idea, so to say.
Okay.
Yeah, we sat together. We are like, you know what? Like, let's just open our own classes. Like, anyway, it's not like it was COVID at the moment, and my second year.
Yes.
So yeah, so we were like, you know what? Let's just open our own classes instead. Like,
Okay.
we don't need infrastructure. We don't need anything. All we need
Yes.
is a social media presence, and that I feel like we can make on our own.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, we just like one day.
Were these classes online, and how many students were you able to enroll in these classes?
Yeah, they were completely online. In totality, I think over the span of 1.5 year, we enrolled 180 students for different
Oh
languages.
wow! All right, excellent. So, what languages were you teaching them? Like, was it Japanese and Chinese?
So we began just with Japanese and Chinese. Slowly, we went into Korean, and like even from there, over time, we realized that the trainers, or even us for that matter, are not able to immerse students in the culture the way we like the way somebody who actually wants to go to that country would need to learn it.
Yes.
And again, everything was virtual, so we realized, you know what, like why don't we just connect them to actual native trainers, right?
Yes. Yes.
So then we introduced like native trainers into the picture, and we made like 2 separate programs. Like one you get trained by a local trainer, one by a native trainer, and like the native was priced more at the moment. I think
Yes.
it was till the end because like
Yes.
of course like the Korean minimum wage is much more than what we can offer here, right? But yeah, getting back to your original question, we did start with Japanese, Chinese, we introduced Korean, and we kept it as an East Asian language classes till almost the end. And last we introduced French, Spanish, and German.
Oh, all right, excellent.
Like the demand was like so
Increasing.
much. Like, we had so many people that used to come and ask us on a daily. So by the end, we was like, okay, we'll launch it.
So, how many people were a part of this then? And how did you come in touch with those native speakers?
For native speakers, we used to put jobs on LinkedIn only. Like
Okay. Okay.
that was honestly like my first exposure to LinkedIn. In fact,
Yeah.
so yeah, like we used to we used to like put out jobs on LinkedIn. People used to apply. We used to put very specific questions that we needed answers to, like what level have you done? If not level, like is that your native language? Is it your learned language? Things like that. And yeah, like LinkedIn automatically qualifies people who are a good fit for your company. And
Correct.
we just got on a FaceTime or a Zoom call with them, and yeah, like we kept hiring people on contract.
Okay. All right. And the core team was of how many people?
Core team never exceeded us too. Everybody we hire
Wow.
is always a contractor.
Oh, all right. Excellent. Excellent. And like, how are you doing the marketing of it? How are like so many students coming to know about the services that you're providing?
So we primarily were doing Instagram marketing.
Okay.
But like we are obviously doing the normal Instagram marketing, which you post about it and everything. But we're also doing a lot of paid ads on Instagram,
Okay. Okay.
which worked really well for us.
All right. Excellent. Very exciting venture. And is it like still on like with these classes?
Uh, no, we had to shut it down because it took a lot of the time, and
Yeah.
we both wanted to at one point focus on our careers, and like
Okay.
it was something that was very less scalable
Yes.
because like the market gets saturated after one point,
Yes. Yes.
right?
All right. Excellent. So, Vihangi, then tell me about how did you come to your second business venture, and again, like what is the idea of it?
Correct. So the thing is, like now when we were marketing both Japanese and Korean,
Yeah.
target market was always people like who watch anime, who are into K-pop. Why?
Correct.
Because that was us,
Yeah. All right.
right?
Okay.
So yeah, like we like all our students, all our community, everything revolved around like anime, K-pop, and me and like the other girls, we
Yeah.
both were heavily into digital art.
Okay.
Like we'd sit for hours and spend days just sitting and drawing on our iPad kind of. And honestly, it's for like from my side, it started with a very toxic mindset. I was in a very how to put this hustle mode, so to say. And
Okay.
every time I went sat down to draw, I felt thoda sa guilty, like yeah, I'm wasting my time.
All right.
And I was like, you know what? Maybe we can make this a business as well.
Yeah.
And like at the moment I already did like make like caps and stuff for my friends.
Yes.
And so yeah, like like so we already knew some suppliers also.
Okay.
And so yeah, we then we launched our anime and K-pop merchandise business where we used to custom design things for people.
Okay.
Describe it to us like yeah, this character throwing a basketball, and like we just make that and ship it to them.
Okay.
Again, that did very well. We even made an e-commerce website, and yeah, like or even like it became so successful that we even started getting orders from US, Australia, Singapore, everywhere,
Oh, wow.
Germany,
Wow. Excellent.
and yeah, like it did really well. And in fact, we even had to figure out price parity because then we realized like we can't just ship it from here. Like
Exactly.
we want to produce it there.
Yes.
And yeah, again, like this also did really well, but the only reason like somebody still runs it on Etsy, but
Yeah.
it's like sold it and like transferred the whole thing to him because like our colleges were going on, and it's like both of them combined took literally 14 to 16 days and like hours in a day.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And like then I had to start planning like career ke liye kya karna hai.
Yeah.
And this also overlapped with the summer where I had to do my college internship, which I needed to graduate.
Yes. Exactly. All right. So this second business venture that you had started was around what time? Like COVID had ended, like the lockdown was over.
So COVID had like we planned this when COVID was still on, but like we waited till like COVID had subsided because you can't send products to people when they are literally scared for their life.
Exactly.
And it's also very tough for like it would also have been very very tough for us to make sure that every single product is safe and sanitized because we were not the ones shipping it.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. And the distribution and marketing like strategy was again like Instagram for this business as well.
Yeah, completely
Oh,
Instagram reels all the time.
wow, excellent. So how were you like managing to make the creatives? Were they like digital or were you like making the creatives yourself?
Yeah, we were making the creatives ourselves on iPad, like on Procreate itself, like.
Oh wow. Okay. Very, very exciting, very interesting again. So coming to your third business then, Vihangi, what was that about? What was it about?
Yeah, I mean that was my social media marketing agency that is now the personal branding agency.
Yes.
Yeah, so like after both of them, I realized like like social media is something I can do. It's something I genuinely enjoy. Like with both of them, I didn't like the operations part. I mean, after like it got so much that I couldn't deal with it.
Yeah. after so much traction.
Exactly. So the operations was exhausting, but I always really like the marketing part of it. Like even when it was very hectic, even when things weren't doing good, like the marketing part of it is something that I always genuinely enjoyed.
Yeah.
And my best friend was coming back from US at the time.
Yeah.
He also wanted to start something of his own. He had a marketing major as well, and so he came back. We both started a social media marketing agency,
Yes.
and yeah, again, like at the time we were doing really good for the clients that we did have. Uh, yeah, but then like I realized like Instagram and YouTube, pe, I have never been able to promise any form of result.
Yeah.
And even if I do, it's very tough to get your client an ROI out of there.
Correct.
Right,
Yes.
like if it's something like paid ads or if they want Instagram marketing, that's one thing.
Yeah.
There you can get an ROI, there you can promise an ROI.
Yes.
But like social media management is something that you cannot guarantee any form of ROI on. Like,
Absolutely.
I got you, I got you an additional 8,000 followers. Now what?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
What do you
Yeah.
do with that?
Exactly. Agreed.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So like you've been like part of like three very exciting ventures, Viangi. What has been like, and I'm pretty sure it has added to who you are and your personality. But what do you think are like the biggest takeaways from all these ventures that you have done? What do you think you have learned from this big skill?
Got it. I feel like more than anything, they have helped me find a balance between being humble enough to know what I can't do and being
Yeah.
like brave enough to take steps that do need to be taken in order to like grow from any place.
Yeah.
And but like more than that, I feel like this is also because I've learned patience, which is something I never ever had. Especially after I started the social media marketing agency. Like the thing about both of them was they both of the businesses were so niche and
Yeah.
was so relatable to me that
Correct.
they immediately gained traction. I never had any place where I had to wait for traction or you know what I'm saying. Like I
Yeah.
never had to wait for success.
Correct.
This time I
Correct.
did too, and like patience and like just um yeah, like just knowing that I need to wait. Success will come. However, some things will not happen, and I need to be okay with that.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Excellent. So, what was the reaction of your like teachers and practically your parents and it's starting all these businesses? So, what was the reaction?
So, so honestly, like when I pehle started like the language classes and the Montessori both,
Yeah.
like tabhi to my mom was genuinely scared. Like, what about your studies? When will you study?
All right.
Right. So, but they were extremely supportive. Like not just my friends, like not just my parents, but also my friends. Like everybody around me was super supportive about it, and like almost for everything. Like my first customers, my first clients have always been my friends or like my parents had told or something like that.
Yes. All right.
Yeah, like honestly, I feel like I got really lucky like that. Like nobody ever discouraged me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've always had the most encouraging, the most supportive people around me.
All right. Excellent. So, what advice do you have for like students who are in college? They want to like start their own business. So, like, what advice would you like to give them?
Uh, Okay, first things first, I would say definitely plan out, chart out some sort of, let's say, goals or KPIs for yourself. Don't
Yeah.
just start into it because, like it is very like it is very easy to get how to put this blown away. Yeah, blown away by like sudden financial independence and like you.
Yeah.
You like in your head, you'll always think like once things go good, they will keep going good.
Yeah.
To make sure there's a plan behind it. Even if it goes good, you need to have a plan for that. If it doesn't go good, you need to have a plan for that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is the number one advice. Other than that, social medias will be your biggest asset no matter what you're doing. Like I
Yeah.
realized this really late when I started my first business. Like for
Yeah.
that, most of our like students from for the first 3 months came only from our network. And like, yeah, I wish I realized this earlier, but social media will be your biggest asset, and it'll be the most inexpensive asset that you will ever have for yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the earlier you start, the better it is.
All right, excellent. So, talking about social media now, Vihangi, tell me what has been the role of LinkedIn in your journey and how important is it?
Like, I would honestly go as far as saying LinkedIn has changed my life. Like,
Yeah.
right? That is my entire business. That's what it revolves around. Like,
Yeah.
for me personally, all of my leads, all of my clients have come from LinkedIn. Right?
Absolutely.
All of my clients have come from LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't know what else to say except like I'm so grateful for everything LinkedIn has given me. Like, it's not just leads, but also like some of my closest friends are from LinkedIn at the moment.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a space to talk about things that do matter to me.
Yes.
I get to attend really cool creator events because of it.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
yeah, like I don't know what else to say except like I literally owe my entire career to LinkedIn.
Great. Great. So Vihangi, when did you like start your journey on LinkedIn? And like for people who are like just starting out, what tips and tricks do you have for them, like so that you know even they can grow their following on LinkedIn?
Got it. I started like as I told you, like when I started my social media marketing agency, I needed leads for it, so I started writing from scratch, and like
Yeah.
then in the next 6-7 months, I learned everything that I needed to.
Yeah.
But for anybody starting out, I feel like the first and foremost thing is to optimize your profile. You need to get a profile picture that makes you look approachable, needs to be thoda sa formal,
Yeah.
shows your personality. You
Yeah.
need to make sure your headline is something that gets people to look at your profile. Like, no matter where they see you, if they see you in their recommendations, in their comments, anywhere, the one thing they'll see about you is your headline, and that is going to be your entire pitch for them to follow you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So perfect your headline, optimize your profile as much as possible. After that, like once you start for content creation, make sure your formats are so easy to read that even a 13-year-old can just go through it.
Yeah.
Because the fact at the moment is people on LinkedIn are no longer reading any posts. They just
Yeah.
scan through it. If they don't see anything that is worth their time, they will not read it.
They're not reading. Yeah.
So format your post as much as possible. Engage with other creators. LinkedIn, like I feel like people forget this a lot because LinkedIn has always been that formal professional platform. But like at the end of the day, LinkedIn is a social media platform,
That's
and you need to be social there. You need to engage with other creators in order to actually form connections that will help you in any manner. Like, not just
correct.
likes and comments, because that, very frankly, anybody can get.
True.
Like
Agree.
you can go and put your posting on a Telegram channel, you'll get engagement, but that's not what we are here for.
Correct. Correct. All right.
Talk to people, get on networking calls, make friends on LinkedIn. That's all the advice I have.
All right. Cool. So you have like a pretty decent size following on LinkedIn, Vihangi, like over 13,000 people, which is actually a big amount. And I want to ask you, like, do you think there are any challenges of having such a large following on LinkedIn? Like, people always know the pros of it, but like, are there some challenges also that you face of having such a large audience?
I think one challenge is that I need to repeat some of my content quite often, because the thing about LinkedIn is it's a multiplication platform.
Yeah.
The more following you have, the more followers will add every day.
Yes.
Right, like when you are just starting out, you're gonna get like 10 followers per day. But like the more it grows, you're gonna have like 100 followers a day that are added. So at this point, you need to repeat some of your content.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, like because like there are like by the end of the week there are 700 people who've never seen something you've said.
Yes. Yes.
And yeah, I feel like the one challenge I face a lot is trying to repeat the same content without sounding repetitive.
Yeah. repurposing of content.
Yeah, like I feel like as as nice and easy as repurposing sounds and the creators talk about it,
Yeah,
I don't feel like it gives you the best image when you repurpose so much content.
yeah, that's true. Yes. All right. So repurposing of content, you think, is a little bit of a challenge, right?
Yeah, other than that, of course, like that's the obvious challenge of you need to think twice before what you say.
Yeah, that's true. You have a responsibility then when
Yeah.
you're recording like that. All right. Okay. I think people have like a wrong notion about, building their personal brand when it comes to, building a personal brand on LinkedIn. They think that just posting content is enough and they just so like, do you have any suggestions about, specifically of how to grow a personal brand on LinkedIn?
Definitely. Like so, as you said, like you do need to post regularly. More like it doesn't have to be every single day, but you need to be consistent and regular as to when you post. Because
Yeah.
LinkedIn algorithm tries this religiously. Like sometimes the days when I don't post at 9:27 a.m. and instead post at 9:37 a.m., I
Yeah.
see a significant dip in my reach.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Yes.
Right?
Men with me, yes.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
one thing is to post regularly. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be every single day. You can post like thrice a week, and that's okay too.
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
Know your capacity. Don't like one day start commenting on 500 accounts.
Yeah.
The next day disappear.
Yeah.
Avoid burnout at all costs.
Yes.
Like I used to burn out so often when I came on LinkedIn because the kind of content that I saw on LinkedIn when I first went is go and comment on 200 posts. So
Yeah.
write content that makes people feel something, which is okay.
Yeah.
But I feel like people, you also need to at some point balance value and personal content. Like it can't just be storytelling and personal content. Like
Correct.
not Instagram at the end of the day. People
Correct.
come here for value, and they might stop for your stories, and they might remember you by your stories.
Yeah.
But you will truly make an impact as an expert in your field when you deliver genuine content.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah.
All right. Excellent. So, like, since you've been on LinkedIn for a while now, Vihangi, how do you see the platform evolving like down the line? Do you think that LinkedIn will be the same, or do you think that it'll undergo some transformation in the coming years?
So first things first, we can already see that LinkedIn is integrating AI.
Yeah.
So I feel like that is like at the moment it's very raw, and I don't think it can be used at all.
Hmm.
But I feel like in time it's going to integrate AI much better, especially for content ideation.
Yeah.
Like that is something that's going to get much easier for people.
Yeah.
Engagement will definitely become much easier. You'll have to think less.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I feel like people are gonna start using AI a lot, and I don't know if that's going to impact the platform negatively or positively.
Yeah.
Um, that's a big thing. I think there's a change. I definitely think more and more people are finally becoming aware of like the potential of LinkedIn.
Hmm. Hmm.
So like there's definitely an increase in number of creators
Yeah.
that are popping up.
Yes.
And yeah, I do think the algorithm's gonna get stricter.
Hmm.
Like it has been happening for the past few days, and like
Hmm.
I feel like the algorithm longer wants to wants people to focus on how many followers a person has and what value they're providing. So if
Yeah.
you go to see,
Hmm.
in a lot of accounts, people ka follow account has been pushed down on their near the content.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yes.
feel like that's something LinkedIn is really trying to push. Like it's trying to give smaller creators a chance since
Hmm.
so many new are coming up.
Yes. Absolutely. The organic traction on LinkedIn is just unbelievable. Even for small creators, like
Yeah.
it's not difficult to get a post that we have. I don't know,
Like
you have like a low following. Yes.
100%.
All right. So, Vihagi, what would be your advice for maybe like an aspiring personal branding strategist or content writer who's watching this video? What advice would you like?
Yeah. I think the number one advice I'll give is give everything you have, share all of the knowledge you have, and like post as much value as you can before asking for anything in return. Before you make your first post saying, "Hi, I have these many slots for my clients available,"
Yeah.
like give 20 times that value.
Yeah.
Right?
All right.
Like, don't make LinkedIn an ask platform. First, give value. First, like before everything, of course, learn yourself. After
Yeah.
that, give as much value as possible, and then like try to gain clients.
Yes. So give value first. All right. Excellent. So Vihangi, this brings us to the end of our podcast to the last segment, which is the rapid fire round, so that
Let's
all knows you a little better and even me. Right. So are you ready?
yeah, let's go.
All right. Excellent. You could have any one superpower for a day. What would it be and
Uh, Definitely being invisible.
why? Okay. Why?
Um, well, I feel like I do want to know what. No, one second. Why just you guys want to know what people talk about when I'm not there?
Okay. All right. That can just like backfire also sometimes. Yes, but
Of course, like
all right. Okay. Okay. What is the most unusual food you have ever tried? Is there something that was
what is
very
the most?
unusual food that you have ever tried?
Hmm. I'm actually very picky with my food, so I don't think there's anything on.
Nothing unusual.
Yeah.
Like crickets or something. Like, I don't know.
So, but yeah, so I'm vegetarian, so that also doesn't
Oh, okay. Okay. That is out of the picture.
matter.
Okay. Okay. Next question. If you could time travel, would you go to the past or the future?
The future, definitely. I've learned my past once.
All right. Okay. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
God, no, what the hell?
I'm scared of people who want pineapple on their pizza, actually.
Just yesterday, I met a friend who was like, "Oh no, no, it's actually pretty good. Like you should try it. The cheese and the pineapple make such a
No, no, no.
symphony."
Just,
Like,
just
that's
stay.
great.
Okay. What's the last song that you have listened to on repeat?
Was the last song Pani Da Rang.
Okay. All right. What's one fictional character that you would like to meet in real life?
Hmm. Ted Mosby.
All right. Excellent. If you could instantly become an expert in something, what would it be?
Hmm. Maths. I've always been horribly bad at maths. Like,
Okay, that's a
so
good one.
bad.
Yeah, I would actually want to be an expert in that too. Okay. If you had to eat just one cuisine for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
Japanese or Korean.
All right. Okay. And last question: what is the best piece of life advice you have ever got?
Life advice. Have patience. Calm down a little. Life
Yeah.
will always feel like it's running away, but it's not. Like things will work out. Just give them time, and in that time, don't keep pushing yourself or keep stressing yourself out.
Yeah. Have faith in the process.
Yes.
All right. Well, Vihagi, that brings us to the end of this podcast. Thank you so much for being here. All of Vihangi's social links will be down in the bio, so you can go and follow her everywhere. And yeah, Vihangi, thanks so much for being here, and I would love to see you on our podcast once again.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. Thank you.